The Adulting with ADHD podcast is not a substitute for medical advice. Please see a medical professional if you think you have ADHD or have ADHD and need additional assistance. For podcast archives, please visit patreon.com/adultingwithadhd. This is the Adulting with ADHD podcast, self-empowerment for people with ADHD. Today, I'm excited to have with me Natalia, a licensed therapist and co-founder of Kairos Wellness Collective, a center that specializes in OCD and anxiety disorders. Welcome to the show, Natalia.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
To start, tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and today we're talking about the overlap of ADHD and OCD, and I was curious how you got into this area of interest.
Absolutely. So I started my therapy career working with ADHD and neurodiversity, and my interest in OCD came on a little bit later when I finally made the jump to take ADHD meds myself. And I suddenly found myself doing all of these very textbook compulsions. And because the OCD that I had previously hadn't fit any of my cliche conceptualizations of what OCD is, I really missed it in myself. So at the time, I was already a practicing therapist. It really took me off guard. But I began my center, Kairos, because looking for a specialist for myself, for my daughter, I realized that there was basically no one in my town that didn't have a wait list that was trained in this modality. And so that kind of set me down a rabbit hole or a
Mhm.
hyperfixation in the ADHD world, and I felt quite motivated to gain my own understanding and to build a team of professionals that could actually support my community in OCD treatment.
If you're listening to this show, you get how stress and overwhelm can wreak havoc on your life, and how sometimes the issue runs deeper than that. That's where ADHD Online comes in. They offer a thorough, clinically backed assessment that not only checks for ADHD, but also screens for anxiety, depression, and more. To save $40 and to get on the path to relief now, visit ADHDonline/adulting with ADHD and use promo code ADultingADHD40. Wonderful. And so why is it so important to understand this overlap between ADHD and OCD?
It's so important because the treatment for anxiety is not helpful for OCD. In fact, it could be harmful. So the treatment for just generalized anxiety disorder or an anxious presentation of adjustment disorder is generally talk therapy and forms of talk therapy, perhaps some DBT, other modalities. But if you meet the clinical criteria for OCD, what you really want to be doing with your therapist is something called exposure response prevention, ERP. And so understanding that what you have is OCD is so vital to being able to get the right treatment. And then additionally, for adults with ADHD, your listeners, it's so important to understand that we get misdiagnosed more than anybody else because ADHD and OCD are having very opposing effects on the brain. We're very much able to mask some symptoms of both because of the particularities or the presentations of the other. So I find that late diagnosis ADHD sometimes comes because the person has been compensating all this time and masking, utilizing their OCD.
And what are some lesser known OCD presentations that those of us with ADHD might overlook?
Oh, so many. There's, I would say, procrastination, perfectionism is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like avoidance of doing a task because we can't do it perfect. So we might think that, oh, that's my ADHD, or oh, I can't get it together. I can't follow a planner. But the whole time, what's happening is that we feel a tremendous amount of shame or fear or difficulty with the concept of doing something imperfectly, and so we put it off or we don't do it at all.
And you spoke a little bit earlier about how OCD is treated. And what should somebody do? Someone listening, maybe, if they think they may have.
OCD assessment that's available for free online,
Mm.
and take a look at some of the lesser known presentations of OCD. There's harm, intrusive thoughts, there's relationship OCD. There's a lot of compulsions that we might not identify as compulsions, especially the invisible ones like replaying events or repeating things in our mind. Take a look at the YBAC, see if any of that resonates for you. Consider listening to some podcasts about OCD to understand the world a little bit better. And also, of course, if you have access to a psychiatrist or a specialist, go in to get yourself assessed. I think that unfortunately, many doctors and therapists, like I was in the beginning
Mhm.
of my career, don't really know their way around OCD and can't quite diagnose. But if you go to a specialist or a specialty clinic, they very likely will be able to accurately tell you if, what you're facing is in fact OCD.
Natalia, thank you so much for being on the show. I know this is going to be really valuable information for some of our listeners. Where can we keep up with you and your work?
So you can follow me on Instagram at letstalk.ocd. Anyone can reach out to me from my website, kairoswellnesscollective.com. I can do therapy within the state of Colorado, but I can also support, consult, and send you to the right resources if you're feeling like this might be something you want to explore.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.